So, Mr. Mayor, you've been officially mayor for a week now. How's the transition been?
It's been lovely. It's the joy and honor and privilege of a lifetime to be the mayor of New York City. And these past 8 days have been ones where we've tried to hit the ground running, and I'm really proud of what we've been doing.
So you made a major childcare announcement today with Governor Kathy Hochul. We're going to get into the details here. So the city and state are launching what you guys are calling childcare, which will provide free childcare for 2-year-olds. It's not quite what you wanted, which was free childcare for 6 months to 5 years old. But what do you think of the start?
I think this is incredible. You know, I've always said that we need to deliver universal childcare for each and every family across the city because after housing, childcare is the most expensive thing that is pushing those New Yorkers out of the city. And we have pre-K, we have 3K, but that 3K has been one where a family in Flatbush is being offered a seat in Astoria. And so what today's $1.21 billion does is it actually is the first step towards universal childcare. It fixes 3K so that we can finally meet the demand, and it starts, as you said, to deliver universal childcare for 2-year-olds. So we start with 2,000 children this fall, and by the end of my first term, we will have delivered it to every single 2-year-old. And then in the second term, we will actually be fulfilling the entirety of that pledge for each and every New Yorker.
So the governor said the state is going to fully fund the childcare program for 2 years. Who pays for it after that?
So this is the first year and the second year is what we're focused on right now. And I'm also confident in the fact that the governor has framed all of this as part of a commitment to delivering for New Yorkers. Because, you know, we first met in Albany, and in Albany and City Hall, the history of that relationship has not always been that productive. It's been one which has been framed by tension, sometimes by dysfunction, almost as if the governor and the mayor represent different constituencies, when the truth is, we both represent New Yorkers. And what's so exciting about today is the governor framed it herself. The era of empty promises is over. We campaigned on universal childcare. Now that's what we're delivering.
Now, for the first year of childcare, the state will be paying $75 million to cover just 2,000 seats, and this will be in neighborhoods selected by the city. What neighborhoods are you looking at right now?
This is going to be coming as the result of conversations we have with parents and with childcare providers. And the beauty of this is childcare is something that it's not just a question of securing the funding. You have to also build the infrastructure. So in order to be able to deliver it for every 2-year-old, you have to stagger the implementation, the phases of it. So this fall, as you said, 2,000 children. Next year, it'll be a third of the entire population of 2-year-olds, and then by the end of our first term, every 2-year-old. But as soon as we have information on which neighborhoods, I'll be sure to tell you.
That brings me to my next question, which is the state will pay $500 million to expand that program for the second year, and that's going to cover about 12,000 seats. But according to the data from the Independent Budget Office, in the 2023 to 2024 school year, there are around 43,000 students enrolled in 3K. And so just looking at 3K compared to 2K, 12,000 seats seems like a drop in the bucket. How are you guys going to ramp that up?
You know, I think what we'll see is for those 12,000 seats, those are many more families that are going to see a complete change in their ability to stay in New York City, because we're talking about taking $22,500 a year out of the burden that New York working families are facing, because we're actually going to deliver that universal childcare for 2-year-olds. So the beauty of this is, as you said, 2,000 children first year, 12,000 children the second year, and then we continue to ramp that up to cover every child by the end of the first term.
4 years. Now, Hochul says she's not going to be increasing taxes to help pay for this proposal. Do you wish she would, so that this would go a little bit faster?
I am very happy with the announcement that we made, and frankly, with the governor's partnership and leadership in delivering this for New Yorkers. This is something that working New Yorkers have been praying for, and that they've also been working for, because as you know, at the core of our campaign was universal childcare. And for 14 months, more than 100,000 people knocked on millions of doors, made millions of phone calls, and they were told again and again, it's naive, it's unrealistic, it's something that won't happen. And here on day 8, we've announced that in fact we have the agreement to make this a reality.
New York City is facing a teacher shortage right now. Where are you guys going to find these educators that can provide childcare service?
Now, I think a lot of this comes to whether you actually value the work that they're doing, because we've seen a lot of those educators pushed out of the field because they're not actually being recognized in the way that they should. And a key part of our implementation and development of universal childcare is going to be our work with labor unions to ensure that we're not just retaining professionals, but we're recruiting them. And I think the question you asked is also true for public schools. Right? We are seeing a shortage of teachers, especially when it comes to fulfilling the class size mandate. And that's why in our campaign we talked about the community to classroom pipeline, where we want to recruit 1,000 teachers additional a year, whether it's by paying for graduating seniors 3 years of coursework so that they can become a teacher, or by providing a mid-career track switch for adults and working professionals who want to become teachers.
Pivoting slightly to another big topic right now, today the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says her conversations with your administration have not been productive. Have you spoken with her directly?
I have not spoken with her directly.
What have those conversations been like with your team and her team?
Well, what I've instructed my team and instructed everyone in city government to do is to follow the law that we have here in New York City. And those laws also include sanctuary city laws. And that means that we do not allow for ICE agents to enter into a New York City school or any New York City property or property owned by a New York City contractor unless they show a judicial warrant signed by a judge. And this is critically important because in our administration, the law is not going to be viewed as a suggestion. It's going to be understood as a requirement.
She said today that some of your comments recently have been, quote, standing with illegal people who have broken our laws. What's your response?
I'd be interested to know which comments she's referring to. What I've said time and time again is that I am the mayor of New York City, and that means being the mayor for every single New Yorker in this city, no matter their documentation status. And I will continue to stand up for immigrant New Yorkers. There are more than 3 million New Yorkers who are immigrants, including myself, who right now are living with a real heightened sense of anxiety as to whether they can even leave their homes and still feel safe. And so this is going to be a focus of my administration as we deliver for each and every person who calls the city home.
Now, she says your administration is not cooperating even on removing gang members and terrorist organizations. Do you think there is a way that you can cooperate with ICE and the federal government?
Well, I think our sanctuary city policies allow for the city government and the federal government to work together when it comes to individuals who've been convicted of 170 serious crimes. So I'm not sure what she's referring to.
Do you know why she would say the conversations with your team are not productive?
I don't.
Now, you stood with the police commissioner this week to tout a record low level of shootings last year. You didn't seem to credit former Mayor Eric Adams. Why is that?
I was focused on the police commissioner who delivered it. And I also know that this was a commissioner who was appointed by Mayor Adams. And I've said time and time again over the course of my campaign that I'm going to make hiring decisions based on an assessment of what a person actually does, not who appointed them and whether or not I ran against them. And I think Police Commissioner Tisch has presided over record drops in a number of serious crimes, and that's critical to providing the city that we want to, because we also know that public safety is the cornerstone of an affordability agenda.
You said that you wanted to disband the strategic response group within the NYPD. Have you spoken with the police commissioner about this?
That continues to be a part of the conversations we're having, and I continue to believe that we need to decouple our response to counterterrorism versus our response to the exercising of First Amendment rights. The strategic response group was born initially of the former and then became all-encompassing for both. And I think we need to have a police response that is specific to First Amendment rights being used, one that keeps the exercising of those rights as a sanctity in our city and also keeps New Yorkers safe.
What has the commissioner, Jessica Tisch, said about you wanting to disband this group? Has she pushed back at all?
You know, those are conversations that we've had, and I've also made clear that this is a part of the commitments that I made over the course of the campaign that we intend to fulfill. And what I appreciate about the commissioner is that her focus continues to be public safety. And when I was standing next to her, the statistics that we were speaking about, those are statistics that change New Yorkers' lives. We are talking about fewer shootings. We are talking about record drops in a number of serious crime categories. That means that there are more New Yorkers living healthy lives today.
You were standing with Governor Kathy Hochul today. You haven't endorsed her in her reelection bid. Can you do so today?
The governor hasn't yet asked me for my endorsement, but what I will tell you is that the conversations I've been having with the governor, the relationship that we're building, it is one that has been so fruitful for New Yorkers, as we've seen today, and as we're going to continue to see, because she's a governor who understands that at the heart of every New Yorker struggle is the affordability crisis, and it's been a pleasure to partner with her.
Why wait for her to ask you?
Because I think it's important for that conversation to be initiated by whomever is running, and I look forward to the conversation whenever it happens.
Have you spoken to her at all about your decision to endorse Brad Lander, who's now running for Congressman Dan Goldman's seat? She's now endorsed Congressman Goldman. Have you guys spoken about that at all?
That's not a conversation we've had. Our conversations have been primarily focused on childcare, on affordability, and what partnership between the city and state can look like. But I can tell you that I'm very proud to have endorsed Brad Lander, and I think he'll make a fantastic congressman.
And you're going to be moving to Gracie Mansion at the end of the month. Anything you're looking forward to about this move?
I'm looking forward to ending the moving process. I can tell you there are a lot of boxes in my apartment right now. I'm looking forward to both packing them up and then unpacking them.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time.
Real pleasure.
Thank you.